AJ Lee returned to WWE after more than a decade, and she's part of the most interesting, biggest, most well-executed storyline going. Thing is, I wasn't watching WWE 10 years ago. So for me, she's a new character that I'm discovering on my screen for the first time. Welcome to Silo Voice Wrestling on YouTube and the Silo Voice Wrestling podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Jason C. McLean. So AJ Lee started off her return promo on Raw, the September 8th, 2025 Raw, last night, by introducing herself to the people whose, quote, millennial parents were very excited on Friday night, end quote. Now, I am definitely not in that age group. I'm technically Gen X, but I see myself more as an Xennial. Google it. But as far as my wrestling fandom goes, when I was a kid, I was into it in the late 80s, in the classic era. In my 20s, I was back into it with the Attitude Era, really watching it every Monday night, Raw, what have you. I sort of dropped off around 2002, right around the time of the brand split, and I got back into it full-time 2022 with like the Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. And now, fast forward a few years, I follow it religiously, at least Raw and SmackDown. I've been to 3 TV tapings, 2 SmackDowns and a Raw, 1 house show, and I even went to a TNA pay-per-view in Montreal. So plus I have this channel. But I missed 10 years ago. I wasn't watching 10 years ago. Now I have sort of filled in some of the blanks, learned some of the stuff that happened. Just you by osmosis, you hear some of the big moments and some of the characters. But as far as AJ Lee goes, I only knew like the broad strokes. She was huge in the Divas era. She was a champion. She's married to CM Punk, lives in Chicago, has with Punk a dog named Larry. And she's an inspiration to a lot of the young wrestlers, especially the female wrestlers on the roster. And she has sort of a maternal connection with Roxanne Perez. I know that stuff. I mean, you say the name AJ Lee. I know. I know she did graphic novels, and she wrote a book. That was pretty much the stuff I knew about AJ Lee. You say her name, I'm well aware of who she is. She was part of that whole angle with the bracelet with CM Punk last year. But I get to look at this as a new character. So how I guess I discovered AJ Lee the wrestler. Well, it started with the Clash in Paris at the end where Becky Lynch low blows CM Punk, and now she's part of the Vision. That was what I was taking away. But obviously there were hints that AJ Lee was going to be back. And knowing the relationship, I was like, okay, cool. AJ Lee's going to come in. This should be good. It'll flesh out this story. I definitely think this story just got way more interesting now that Becky's involved with Seth on screen. But I didn't really know how popular she was or whether or not I would connect with the character. But then the next night on Raw, that was an amazing promo segment. One of the top promos of the year, an amazing Becky Lynch heel promo where she's just needling CM Punk, and he gets some lines in, but ultimately he can't do anything. And they're chanting for AJ Lee. And I was like, okay, they're probably going to bring AJ Lee back. That wasn't really a secret. They hinted at it. I think the Vault uploaded old AJ Lee matches. There was the little incident with the WWEshop.com sort of spoiling the return, which we all figured was going to be on SmackDown. As for the return on SmackDown, I thought I liked the fact that Punk brought up some of the people that people have been speculating might be a replacement, like Bayley, Rhea Ripley. But it was clear, just knowing how wrestling works, it was absolutely clear AJ Lee had to return. And then she returned, massive crowd pop. Of course, it's Chicago. Does the skipping thing to the ring. I'm like, okay, this is cool. Like, she's really into it. Becky's scared, goes right for Becky and hugs Punk. I'm like, okay, that's a good start, but let's actually meet this character. So what do they think of her promo? Well, at the start, she just appeared very real and honest and relatable. And what she was saying felt real because, well, it was. I mean, she talked about leaving WWE. She talked about her mental health journey. She got the whole crowd chanting therapy, like as a positive thing. I never thought I'd hear a therapy chant in a WWE arena, but hey, we got it. We got a callback later in the segment too. That was great. I mean, she was being honest about her past, or her recent past, and it felt very real. And then with the same kind of character she segued it into why she came back, which is segueing it into the story, which was great. She's like, then I turned on Raw and I saw Becky Lynch berating and trying to motorboat my husband. Like, I was just very blunt, it was funny, but it was relatable. I'm sure she's good in the ring. And actually, I'm curious to see, because one thing I know about the Divas era is that they were told not to wrestle like the guys. They were told to, do a lot of hair pulling, and it was short matches. And from what I've heard through other people who were watching, let me go back and watch some of the matches, was that AJ Lee was sort of rebelling against that. She got over despite that, and she actually was sort of pushing the boundaries to be more like the current, ultimately, like this is the current style of women's wrestling, is what she probably wished she could have wrestled 10 years ago. And now she has a chance to come back in this era. When Becky Lynch came out and remarked that she was wearing the Women's Intercontinental Championship, the way AJ Lee responded was, it was kind of that fake ditzy. Well, we all know that she's not really like, oh, I'm wearing this thing. And then she just hits it with the point. She has sarcastic, and she brought out, I guess, the best or the worst in Becky Lynch, worst being the good stuff, because the crowd was booing Becky more than ever heard her boo. She actually made Becky a better heel. I think Becky needs someone who could go toe-to-toe with her on the mic, and she can go on the mic. She can go toe-to-toe with the best, someone like Becky Lynch. We did get a bit of, okay, it wasn't like punching or attack. That was the last time. I'm actually going to have to see her in ring at WrestlePalooza. Honestly, it's hard to sound tough when you're saying a word with Palooza in it, but we did get some physicality here, but it was more like kind of like this sort of Skippy Dancy thing where she's just like getting in front of Seth to sort of irritate him because he couldn't get the belt. She played off Seth very well too. She made that comment about mansplaining. Of course, Punk came in. But yeah, you know what? Punk only came in at the very end to basically do the attack and basically end the segment so Seth would agree to the match. But this was AJ's segment, and she excelled both in being honest and relatable and incorporating it into the story and then playing the character. And she's definitely a fun character that I'm very interested in watching. And I think she's a great addition to the women's roster. I'm glad she's staying around longer than this feud. Or I think she's going to win the Women's Intercontinental Championship. And I think she's going to drop it to Roxanne Perez, who's going to lure her in with a false sense of security of being like her fake daughter, her like quote unquote daughter. And then Judgment Day is going to cheat. And then maybe we have a feud going to WrestleMania. I think this is, I now see the hype. I now see why everyone who was watching 10 years ago was so excited about AJ Lee returning. And I'm excited that she's returned, and I'm excited that I now have this character on my TV screen. So that was my reaction to being introduced to AJ Lee, the wrestling character, for the first time. I know other people have done discovering wrestling for the first time. I can't possibly do that. I've been watching since I was a kid. But because of the gaps, I can actually do a video about discovering this character for the first time. And I'm sold. Follow at Silo Voice Wrestling on Facebook and Instagram, at Silo Wrestling on X, and me at Jason C. McLean on X and Instagram. Also, jasoncmclean.bsky.social on Bluesky. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, ring that bell for notifications to get on my wrestling hot takes, cold takes, simmering takes, wrestling opinion pieces, WWE premium live event prediction and review videos, and assorted thoughts on Raw and SmackDown. I didn't do an assorted thoughts on the last Raw or SmackDown because I just focused on this one story. Now, there were other things that happened, but honestly, this story this story beat the whole on SmackDown, took precedence over Brock Lesnar and John Cena, and also that amazing match with Sami Zayn and John Cena. Anyways, this video's done. I'll be back with the regular content soon enough. For Silo Voice Studios in Montreal, I'm Jason C. McLean.